here's a quote a few quotes here I wanted to talk to you about. One, here's from The Prince, written by Machiavelli. You must know there are two ways of contesting, the one by law, the other by force. The one by law, the other by force. The first method is proper to men. The second, to beasts. But because the first is frequently not sufficient, it is necessary to have recourse to the second. Therefore, it is necessary for a prince to understand how to avail himself of the beast and the man. Now, obviously, that's a metaphor for life. It could be a metaphor for business, for war, for achieving anything. How do you tap into the beast when you need it? There are times where you're going to be a calculated, thoughtful, determined, strategic individual. But if you can't tap into that savage mindset, you're not going to achieve anything. Here's another quote, okay? It's not really a quote, it's a definition of a concept that the military uses. It's called violence of action. It's how you win a battle. And again, a metaphor for any battle. Violence of action. Violence of action means the unrestricted use of speed, strength, surprise, and aggression to achieve total dominance. How do you unleash such a resource in your life? How do you open up the doors to that savage within you that will do whatever it takes to get what you want? Do you even know what you want? You got to have that. You got to have something. You have to become self-aware and understand what is driving you. Is it pain? Is it a challenge? Or is it pleasure? Is it some goal? If you don't have either, your comfort zone coma. You're in a comfort zone coma and you're going nowhere. So, 20 some odd years ago, I was busted ass broke. Okay, I had been hugely successful. I had made just an enormous amount of money. I rose incredibly fast because, again, I had that mindset. And, I read this growing up when I was in my late teens, early 20s. I read a book by Tony Robbins called Unlimited Power. And that book blew my mind because I'd never read anything like that. I think I was in my early 20s when I read this book. And that book essentially unlocked my mind. And it made me realize, even though I was in these circumstances, in a crap neighborhood, on food stamps, on welfare, poor, with no money, I realized that, wait a second, that doesn't have to be it for me. I could do anything. I could earn millions. I could be an entrepreneur. I could achieve greatness. And so in short order, after reading that book and understanding a concept, what was that concept? Well, one of the biggest ones Tony Robbins talks about is taking massive action. Of course, you have to understand your driver. You have to want, so you have to know what you want specifically, and then you have to take action, massive action. And I rose fast. I made a huge amount of money. I changed my life. I had everything. And then, what I didn't learn is how to save money. I didn't learn how to invest money. Right? I just knew how to spend it. I'd never been taught that before. I'd never been taught that. And so, fast forward a few years later, I'm busted ass broke. So broke that me, my wife, and my kids, I'm literally emptying out change that we've been saving in one of those giant plastic bottles you can put quarters into. I probably had about $50 in quarters and nickels and dimes. We exchanged that, and that's how I bought food one week. So that's how broke I was. And I went to work for a company selling advertising space. And it was a fascinating experience for me. So this was a career change. It was a life change. I needed to make money. and I got into the world of advertising sales. And what a great experience. I met one of my mentors there, a guy by the name of Lawrence Wayne Roberts. Incredible sales mind, gifted guy, taught me so much about selling. But the bottom line is this: I knew what I wanted. I knew I needed to push away once again from that pain. I needed to do better for my family. I didn't want us to be poor. I didn't want us to not have. I wanted my kids to have a good life. I wanted my wife to have a good life, right? I didn't want us to suffer, to be destitute, to not have, to go without. And so what did I do? Well, I took massive effing action. Massive action. What does that mean? I knew what my driver was. I was hungry. I would do anything to achieve it. And I walk into this place. I learn what I need to learn from Wayne Roberts about selling advertising space. And then they tell me, look, if you want to be successful, you got to do 150 calls a day, 5 pitches a day. And we're pitching people on the marketing team, right? But if you really want to be successful, pitch the decision maker, pitch the CEO. So what did I do? I took massive action. Massive action, meaning 150 calls, I'm going to do 400 calls a day. Come in at 8:30, leave at 5:30? No, I'm coming in at 7 and I'm leaving at 7:30. Pitch 5 times a day, I'm going to pitch 8 times a day. Everyone around me is pitching marketing people. I'm marketing managers, I'm going to pitch the CEO. And if I can't get the CEO after months and months of trying, I'm going to pitch the CMO. I'm going to pitch a true decision maker. And am I going to ask for the minimum order? Because everyone's just out there asking, and the average order was like 15 grand. No, I would ask for the maximum order, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000. And by taking massive action on all those fronts, 1 year later, I had sold $1 million in advertising space on an average sale of anywhere between $15,000 to $25,000. I did $1 million in sales in my first year, and my life took off again. I had everything I wanted. I took massive action, but it's because I had a driver and I unleashed the savage mindset. So I will end this rant, this diatribe, with the following. From Tony Robbins, right? The path to success is to take massive, determined action. Often we allow ourselves to become caught in a mental trap of seeing enormously successful people and assuming they are where they are because they possess some special gift. But when we get a closer look, we see there is no secret you don't already have access to. In truth, the greatest gift that extraordinarily successful people have over the average person is their ability to get themselves to take action. So what's it going to take for you? What do you have to figure out about yourself? What is so painful in your life or your past that you will do whatever it takes to push against it? Or what dream is so exciting, so beautiful, so wonderful for you that you will do anything to ascend to the place where that dream comes true? If you don't have that, you're going to live an average life. It's going to be homeostasis, and you're going to live in the comfort zone, which is nothing more than a coma. You're going to live in a coma. If you don't, if you want to be better than that, if you want some form of personal greatness, whatever it is that you define as greatness, then you have to find what it is that drives you. And then you have to be willing to access the savage within. Have a great week.